Welcome, Roger.
Thanks very much for the introduction, Matt, and thanks also to Virtual Investor Conferences organizers and to OTC Markets for including us in your program today. Also, of course, thanks to all of you that are listening out there for taking the time to come out and attend this virtual presentation. It's a pleasure to be here, especially today, because it was just yesterday that Labrador Gold began trading on the OTC QB market, as Matt mentioned, under the symbol NKOSF. And we trade on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol LAB. In the next 20 minutes or so, I'd like to introduce you to the Labrador Gold story. I hope that you will agree by the end that it's a compelling story and one that is really just getting started on a journey to discovery. I hope that you will follow us on that journey and maybe even join us in the journey. So this is the legal page, our disclaimer, as I'm sure you're familiar with. I will be making forward-looking statements in the presentation, and I would encourage you to take a look at this in our presentation that's available for download at the booth. So we see Labrador Gold as literally a golden opportunity. We are looking for gold. The province that we're working in is Newfoundland and Labrador. It's on the east coast of Canada. It's a great jurisdiction to work in. And we have 3 projects out there. The most recent addition is the Kingsway Project, and this turned out to be a significant acquisition for us earlier this year, because you may be familiar with the Newfound Gold story. It's one that's really taken the Canadian junior mining scene by storm. And after their discovery of about 93 grams a ton over 19 meters, which they announced in January of this year. So our Kingsway property is pretty close to the Newfound Gold discovery, and it's a long strike to it. So that's our focus right now, and what I'll spend most of the time in this presentation talking about. We do also have 2 projects in Labrador, our Ashwanapi and Hopedale projects. I'm not going to talk about those much at all, except to say that they are both grassroots projects. We've done a couple of years of work on them, and both of them are approaching the drill-ready stage. They both have gold mineralization over district scales, and that's something that we're looking for in both those projects. We're looking for district-scale gold potential. Of course, properties are one thing, but we have to have people to work them, and we're fortunate in that both myself and our partner, Sean Ryan, who you may recognize from his work up in the Yukon, are both involved in Labrador Gold, and together we've been responsible for the discovery of something like 17 million ounces of gold over our careers. We also are in a very strong cash position. We recently completed a private placement of $5.3 million, and we were fortunate enough to get warrants exercised for another $2 million. So we have about $7 million in cash, which is more than enough for us to carry out our planned exploration this year and well into next year. As I mentioned, Newfoundland and Labrador are very stable jurisdiction here in Canada and very supportive of mineral exploration, as you'll see a bit later. So this is exploration management. I'm a geologist. I've got something like 20 years of experience wholly in exploration for both copper and gold, worldwide, really. My involvement in the discovery of the Namashap gold deposit in Namibia was earlier in my career, and that gold deposit now is probably in the order of about 10 million ounces in past production and current resources. I do also do a little bit of teaching at the University of Toronto, where I'm teaching geology to engineers and really trying to convert them to geologists, which is a little tough sometimes. Sean, you're probably more familiar with. He's also has about 20 years of gold exploration under his belt. He's discovered several gold deposits up in the Yukon and is still involved with White Gold, who I believe is also presenting at the conference here. And he's still helping White Gold to find more discoveries up in the Yukon. So a very strong exploration team headed by Sean and I. This is just a quick table showing our share structure. It's hard to believe that that share price was just a week ago. We're now up to closer to 60 cents, so the market cap has gone up over 50 million. We have just over 90 million shares out, some warrants and options totaling about 136 million fully diluted. We have no debt, and as I mentioned earlier, we're very well financed for current work and work going into next year. So this is where our major Kingsway property is located, and this is a geological map of the island of Newfoundland. I don't expect you to really focus too much on anything other than the blue box there, which shows you the area of what we call the Gander Gold District, and you can see that the yellow dots within that square are more. There are more of them there than there are anywhere else on the island of Newfoundland. So we know that we're in gold country. The showings that you see there extend over about 100 kilometers, and they're located between two major crustal scale faults, and that's important because, as you know, if you follow gold exploration and gold deposits, those faults can be very, very influential in focusing gold mineralization up into the crust and precipitating the gold, which is what we're looking to find. So the Kingsway Project, this is a little bit more detail showing where it is. It's in central eastern Newfoundland. It covers 16 kilometers of structure called the Appleton Fault Zone, which we'll discuss a little bit more in more detail in a few slides. There's been numerous years worth of exploration, culminating in work over the last 3 years. And on the Kingsway property, we see gold anomalies in every sample media that's been taken to date, which is quite incredible. That's everything from soil, till, rock. Gold is present in all of those different sample media, so that's very encouraging. Exploration in those last 3 years, which Sean had a big hand in, reduced the area that they were looking at from about 675 square kilometers down to 66 in the 2 claim blocks that we acquired from Sean earlier this year. So that's a significant reduction, and we believe that those 2 claim blocks are some of the best ground in the area outside of newfound gold claim blocks. There's good infrastructure. We're very close to the town of Gander, which some of you may remember was host to the people coming in from overseas during 9/11, and has also been the subject of a musical called Come From Away, which you may have seen. So it does have some name recognition. And our target over in this part of the world is what's called epigenetic orogenic gold, which is a bit of a mouthful, but it's similar to epithermal gold, which you'll probably may be more familiar with. So this is what the claim blocks look like. Kingsway North and Kingsway South we acquired from Sean earlier this year. The Kingsway Central project we acquired from another vendor a little bit later. So the total package there now is about 77 square kilometers. Just for reference, the newfound gold discovery is the red star down to the southeast or bottom left, and that will that will be on most of the slides that we're looking at, just as a reference to how our Kingsway project is related to that discovery. And on this slide, something that's good to note is that the open red squares to the south of our Kingsway South block are primarily Newfound gold claims. So they own that ground, and our Kingsway South property ties on to that. Now, there is, of course, being close to a discovery is great, but closeology alone doesn't really get us very far. And so I hope in the next few slides that I'm going to be able to show you why we think that we are more than just a near neighbor. So a bit of a timeline here for our Kingsway project. Exploration in the district was kicked off really in the 1980s and carried on for about 15 to 20 years. And lots of gold occurrences were found during that time by various companies, but there was no real development of any kind. And there was a small resource of about 70,000 ounces outlined by Noranda on one of the gold zones, but nothing was taken any further than that. In 2000, there was a discovery of what's called the Cracker showing, or the Cracker mineralized zone, with some really high grade grab samples from there. That showing is now on is now covered by our Kingsway Central claim block. And then there was a bit of a hiatus in exploration, at least by major companies, until about 5 years ago when Sean started looking at Newfoundland and staked that 775 square kilometer area, and together with Torque Resources undertook major geochemical surveys. And we're very happy that we have all of that geochemical data in our current database. At around the same time, Newfound Gold was exploring their Queensway property to the south, and of course, as I mentioned, that resulted in their discovery, which they announced in January of this year. Once we heard of that discovery, I knew that Sean had some claims in the area, so I talked to Sean about that, negotiated with him, got into a little bit of a bidding war, and fortunately we were able to option the 2 licenses from Sean, and that turned out to be a very good acquisition for us, and we've done pretty well based on what Newfound Gold has been doing subsequent to that acquisition, which was in about March of this year. So right now we have acquired a third license to complete the package. We've done our review of historical work, and we're in the process of beginning our summer exploration program. This is really the key slide in this presentation. It shows you all of the anomalies in the various different sample media. It's a bit busy. I wouldn't worry too much about reading it all right now. You can look at it in the handout. But essentially, what it shows is ellipses of the different colors refer to different sample media, and we're seeing that we have significant gold in outcrop. We have gold in heavy mineral concentrates, stream sediment, soils. So when we look at this package of licenses, we look at it as more than just being close to Newfound Gold discovery. We look at it as having the potential for making a discovery of our own. So going through some of those aspects individually, this map shows the geology of the area, and right away you can see that the claims cover most of the same rock types, the Davidson group that's shown in brown, and that extends up from south of the Newfound Gold discovery all the way up to the northeast. There are lots of gold showings. They're shown here in the yellow stars. and they also align along this sort of northeast trend, which is one of the structures that we're really interested in, and that's the Appleton Fault Zone. So the Appleton Fault Zone, you can see it coming up from the bottom left. It comes up, it goes straight through the Newfound gold discovery, comes across our 3 licenses, and extends for about 16 kilometers on our license. So we're pretty confident that along that structure, we should be able to find more gold mineralization. This is one of those major anomalies in heavy mineral concentrates. So what happens here is the tills are panned and the heavy mineral concentrates are assayed. So it is a concentrated sample, hence the very high gold numbers that we have. But one of the things to notice here is that anomaly, which is about 3 kilometers long, lies along the Appleton Fault Zone, probably about 7 kilometers to the north of the Newfound gold discovery. So we can see that this Appleton Fault Zone still appears to be controlling gold mineralization up on our licenses. Again, this is more information from till samples. This is gold grains. So panning of the till samples actually found gold grains in the samples. So we know that the gold grains have come from somewhere nearby. The analysis that was done at the time recommended looking about 100 to 500 meters up ice of where these gold grains occur, and that's something that we're going to focus on during our summer program. There was also a boulder of quartz vein that contained visible gold found in a trench, and that assayed 168 grams a ton. Spectacular sample. We still don't know where it came from. We expect that it will be somewhat nearby, and it's another thing that we will be looking to follow up this summer. So again, more geochemistry. Again, associated with these faults, the Appleton Fault Zone, there is a second fault zone that you can see over to the left, the black line going up and merging perhaps with the Appleton Fault Zone on the North Claim Block. It's called the Dog Bay Line, which is a major crestal structure that runs from down in South Carolina up through the eastern U.S., through Atlantic Canada, and continues off into Northern Ireland. So that's a major structural break that has gold deposits along its length, and it's a good one to see here in our licenses as well. This is a bit of a busy slide, and I don't expect you to look at the details, but just the overall pattern. What we're seeing here is gold in vegetation, which was sampled by the taking the tips of spruce branches and assaying those for gold, and it actually works out very well as an initial means of finding the regional scale of the gold mineralization that we might expect here on the licenses. The soil samples, these are soil samples that are taken mostly by Sean, but there are a few other companies that took soil samples there as well. And you can see that the purple and reds, the hot colors as we call them, are basically shown here, and they're where the anomalies are. And you can see the clusters of anomalies around that Appleton Fault Zone. Some of them are displaced from it. And in particular, one thing that's really interesting is the cracker occurrence, which is shown more or less in the middle of the slide, is covered by a really good soil anomaly, and that's important, and I'll show you shortly. But we also use magnetics. This is an Airborne Magnetic Map. Magnetics is great to reveal structure, and what I've tried to show here is some of the structures associated with the geology in this area, and you can see from down in the bottom where the Newfound gold discovery is, you can follow some structures up towards the northeast on the magnetic map. And what I've plotted here is not gold, it's actually antimony, because antimony really works well to follow structures, and it enables us to see where these structures may be going and be able to follow them. So antimony is an element that we will be analyzing for in all of our samples this summer, and that will help us pin down structures. So this is what we're planning to do this summer. We're going to do a lot of soil samples. 10,000 soil samples is a pretty significant amount, and as you may know from being with if you followed Sean at all, he likes to take lots of soil samples, and in that way we can really figure out where the best potential areas are to start drilling. And it's worth noting that in the past, many of those gold occurrences that you saw on the map were actually discovered by following up soil anomalies. And so we know that the gold in soil is a very good tool for finding underlying gold mineralization. Combined with that, as I've mentioned, structures are important. We know where some of those major structures are, where they cross our licenses, but what we don't know is where some of the smaller structures are. And it's very often not the major structures, but second order or third order structures that concentrate the gold mineralization into a deposit. So we need to figure out where the structures are. And of course, we can do that with outcrop mapping, but where there's no outcrop mapping, we have to rely on geophysics. So we're going to be doing detailed ground magnetics and VLF, EM. It's an electromagnetic technique that really helps determine where structures are, and we're going to do that over all three claim blocks. So it's going to be well covered, and we'll have a very good idea of where potential gold hosting structures are. Of course, we're going to do prospecting and mapping as well. And finally, the result of all this will be a drilling program in the fall, which is what we'll be doing to test our theories and all the targets that we generate during the summer. I mentioned that Newfoundland and Labrador is a very good jurisdiction, and this is a testament to that. We want to acknowledge that the Ministry of Natural Resources has given us financial support for the exploration of the Kingsway property. They do this every year under their Junior Exploration Assistance Program, which is a big boost for junior mining companies, and certainly helps a lot of them keep going during the downtime. So that's it from me. Here's our information. It's also on the back of the presentation that you can download. Feel free to call me anytime, email me, and we're happy to talk to you about our story, which I think is a good one, and it's only going to get better. So I think with that we can look at some of the questions that are coming in here. One here is, do you think there's any upside potential for the antimony other than indicating good gold possibilities? Yes, there are antimony deposits in the area. I don't think that for us it's going to be a focus, but of course we will be analyzing it for antimony, as I mentioned. So if there is anything significant that comes out of it, we'll certainly take a look at it. We also have a question about drilling. So the drilling that we're going to undertake this fall is going to be fairly preliminary. We have permits to drill to 2,000 meters. They will be typically short holes, because really what we're doing is we're going to test the combination of soil anomalies and structures that we find with our earlier exploration. So it's really going to be a preliminary exploration of the anomalies that we find. Do you ever share insights with the team at Newfound Gold? Well, we have talked to them, and we are in touch with them. I'm a firm believer in collaborating. I don't think there's any secrets, at least from our side. Our licenses are secure, as are theirs, and I think that communicating back and forth helps us both. Whatever Newfound Gold happens to be doing, if they make more discoveries, it's going to help us. If we make a discovery, it's going to help them, and it's just going to bring more attention to the district. And I do really believe that this is going to turn into a gold district. I don't think this is just a one-hole wonder on Newfound Gold's part. And I'm sure once they go public, we're going to see exactly what they have been up to. And I think it's going to be a very exciting summer and fall over in the Gander area. There's a question about the depth Newfound Gold hit the discovery. I believe it was around 100 meters. I think it was somewhere from about 90 meters to 110 meters, so not too deep. There have been attempts in the past to drill shallower holes, and they have not been successful in intersecting significant mineralization. So probably we're looking at depths around the 100-meter levels to get a good idea of what's there. At this point, we only are going to have one drill on the property, and so initially we'll start with one, and we'll go from there. I think we'll have lots of anomalies to follow up, and we'll do that initially, as I said, with one drill targeting those gold anomalies. Yeah, so Newfound Gold is targeting a possible style of mineralization. Is it typical for this style of deposit to cluster? Well, I think the best answer for that is to look at what is happening with the company Possible South, which has done really well with its licenses down to the south of Kirkland Lake's Fosterville project. So yes, absolutely. Once you're into a district like that, I think that you're going to find more than one deposit, and of course, I'm hoping that it's going to be on all licenses, just to the northeast of Newfound Gold. Do we need helicopter support? No, the infrastructure is great. We're just off the Trans-Canada Highway. Access to the projects are by logging roads, so we can access them by road, and so it's a really big cost saving compared to our projects in Labrador, which were all helicopter supported. So these appear to be exciting properties, but very early stage, even for an exploration company. How do you intend to immediately enhance shareholder value? Well, of course, they are early stage, and there is we have what I would say blue sky opportunity. So enhancing the shareholder value is to go out there, do what we say we're going to do, and make sure that we communicate with our investors every step of the way. It looks like I'm out of time here. Thanks everybody for your questions, and be sure to drop by the virtual booth, and I'll be available to answer any more questions by chat. Thanks very much.